Okay. I'm trying to figure out why my camera is not where it needs to be in life. I'm trying to fix that real quick. Okay, camera. Okay, it's better. Camera over here, so I'll move myself. Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Okay. All right, perfect. All right, happy Monday. So I wanted to start off by saying thank you for everyone who has supported my business this year, Glam Alchemy. There are going to be some changes to my website. I'm going to be removing some things, kind of condensing a lot of the things. There will be some things that are going to no longer be there, but things like the Lady Nectar, the Lady Nectar, the hair growth oil, those are going to still be on there. Like people who live by those products, I will not be getting rid of those, but there's just a lot of stuff I need to condense. And I am building a laboratory right now. So that is my business. You may have seen some of my posts if you follow me here on YouTube about paternity tests and things like that. So I am building a forensic laboratory, and we will be working with law enforcement and some other entities to but we are going to help get this rape backlog handled, okay, in this country, in these different places where that's a major issue. But we are also helping people with just normal DNA type issues. And even people who don't necessarily have issues, people who want to discover their ancestry, people who want to improve their health. We have tests for all that. And so you can find information about that at jupitergenetics.com. So yes, that's what I'm working on. And that's kind of a segue into what I want to talk about today. Because I really want to talk to Black women, and really women in general, but of course my expertise and a lot of my audience is Black women, so that's primarily who I'm speaking to, about just in general what is going on economically. Everybody is aware that there is inflation, right? Everything costs more than it used to. All of that. So there's been a lot of, a lot of people are worried about money, worried about economics and different things like that. And I've always had this mindset about the workforce, but I have always been in the minority when it comes to that, like, or to the thoughts that I'm going to share. Hey, where am I from? I live in the United States, but my dad was in the military, so I've lived a lot of places just across the board. But okay, so we're gonna talk about money. Thank you. We're talking about money and Black women and just where we're going right now. So right now we're in a space where I'll say, let me back up. So I'm in a lot of different, if you have a question, just post it. I'm in a lot of different groups, right? For they're specifically catered to Black women, or they specifically cater to women. And there are a lot of Black women. So, Black women in the United States, we have the demographic of being the most educated or we have the statistic about us being the most educated demographic in the United States, right? And I'm constantly seeing Black women, that's funny. I'm constantly seeing Black women post their graduation photos and how proud they are of their accolades and whatnot. And I get it because I went to school and so for me, like, so I went to school and I was very, very excited about that. Like, I was very excited about going to school. I was very excited about obtaining my degree because I am like a nerd. So everything educational was always exciting to me anyway. I did well in school. And so, the whole prospect of once you graduate, like, you're excited about your future. You're excited about what you're going to do next. And that's completely understandable. It makes perfect sense, right? Because you're supposed to get all of these different and new opportunities, right? Because you just completed something. You just went to school. You just obtained a skill or something. So typically, you're excited. And then 6 months later, in these same groups, in these same circles, I'm seeing these same people be like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just completed my master's and I still don't have a job. And I went to school to go get my master's because I had gotten a bachelor's and I couldn't find a job. So there's all of these highly educated women and they cannot find work. And I'm seeing it time and time and time again that they're having trouble. And I had trouble when I graduated as well. And I still never really just fully landed in a position in my field. And what ended up happening is I ended up becoming a doula. I ended up getting my childbirth education cert. I ended up getting my lactation counselor educator cert. I ended up becoming a doula. I ended up starting midwifery school, which was perfectly in line with what I had gone to school for, right? But trying to get a job right out of school, that was not working for me. Matter of fact, I was trying to get, so I had a background as a pharmacy technician, and then I was trying to get in, I had done an internship in public health, which was my minor, and then so I was trying to get a position at the health department, right, or I'm trying to get a position at the CDC, or I'm trying to get a position at like even a medical office, right, which they don't really pay much. So I'm trying to do all these things, and that's not happening, right, and so myself, just like a lot of women that I'm seeing in these groups, they will get like depressed and they'll get sad and frustrated and be like, well, I can't find a job. I can't, this isn't, work panning out for me the way I want to. Things are getting tight. Like, do I have to go work in fast food or whatever? I've literally said that aloud, that's what I was going to do because I was so like frustrated, you know what I'm saying, that I was not able to acquire a great job out of school. And then, they tell you while you're in school too, do internships so that you can get a job. It'll help you. I did internships, okay? My internship was CDC funded, okay? It was no type of like, it wasn't something janky or some really kind entrepreneur letting me work alongside them. Like, I had a legit entrepreneurship that I applied for and worked in, had to do a final project in. So after doing all of that, just like a lot of the women that I'm seeing after finishing a 4-year plus a 2-year degree or whatever they've gone to school for, even PhDs, they are upset and salty and mad and sad because they cannot find work, even though they've put in all of this other work. And a lot of people will tell you, well, you have to get a skill, you have to get a trade. So now you're telling people they have to go get a medical coding and billing, or go get an MA, or go get something real, like something that takes 9 months so they can get a job. But they've gone a job for like 6 years already or 8 years already. And so that's just really, really crazy that's happening, that used to happen. And it's happening again. I remember feeling like I was the only person going through this, but now I'm seeing this is happening like en masse right now. I was also recently put onto game that there has been a DEI ban, right? What is the DEI ban? So we know about diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? And now they've pretty much said we're going to do away with that. It's too many Black folks out here making 6 figures. There's too many people out here doing too well. We're going to take this away so we don't have to hire these people. We don't have to do that anymore. It's happening with education. It's happening in jobs. There was even a Black woman-owned venture capitalist fund, and they only funded Black women, and they got shut down because of DEI being banned. So now it's like, well, what do you do? Right? What do you do? What do you do? What do I do? What do you do in this situation? My thought process, as well as what it was already my natural inclination, like I told you before when I was a doula, is to just, you need to start a business. Like, you're going to have to. You're going to have to start some type of solopreneur, or you can go all the way out and, get a big business. You can go do all these other, you can go and legitimize everything, which I do advise. But you're gonna have to do something besides being dependent on the jobs. And I know that makes for a lot of folks that like stings. Because what I found in my experience when I was like struggling, like trying to find a job, like as a new grad, nobody really wanted to help me. Like, I'm not, no shade, like, but nobody really was trying to help me get no job. And I was like, what like, I've done all of this and I'm still not unable to find it. And now that this is, and again, I found my own way, but now that this is, things are shifting from a lot of comfortability that a lot of people have had. Now they're uncomfortable. They don't know what to do. And it's like, truthfully, you can't depend on these companies. You really, truly cannot. And a lot of people are getting a rude awakening about that. Like, you can't. Like, you can't depend on them. Yeah, jobs and the rent is not matching up, period. Okay? And I you know, I've worked with people that are like twice my age, and I'd be like, damn, like, I don't want to be that age still up here answering to folks. I know for me, one of the things with jobs for me, it's always the break lunch shit. Like, you not finna tell me grown as hell that I gotta come back. I gotta come back in 30 minutes. Like, what? No. So you have no control of your time. I mean, I can go into all of the things about jobs, but you have no control of your time. You have no control of your life. And so that is essentially where you're stuck. And I know for me, it definitely feels stuck. It feels like you really can't do much because you do have a limited amount of time and resources and whatnot. But there's not going, so I'll say this. So I usually listen to things for personal and self-development. Hey, honey. Yeah, for real. I feel that. I feel that. So where was I going? Oh yeah, so I you know, I listen to personal development things a lot, and I do listen to a lot of women that are older than me. And thank you. I listen to a lot of personal development stuff. I used to listen to older women who are successful in business, and some of them don't have conventional, right, businesses. And so I listen to them, and it's very funny when they start to say the same thing. It kind of raises my antenna, like, okay, I really need to pay attention. And one of the things that I have been seeing is there is like a lot of manipulation going on to keep people, right? But again, I'm speaking primarily to the demographic that watches this channel, to keep Black women, like, not even necessarily docile, I don't know if that's the correct word, but to keep Black women from like doing more. So I was watching one video and this lady was talking about the whole part-time job phenom. So again, and this is again what I'm talking about with the economics and the inflation and all of that stuff. A lot of women naturally will just be like, I'm just gonna go get another job. I'm gonna get a part-time job. I'm gonna go do this, right? When you see people trying to recruit you for Avon or trying to recruit you for whatever MLMs are out here now, they it's usually women, and they're usually catering to moms. They're catering to women who are stay-at-home moms, or they're catering to women who have children, moms in general that work. And it's like, well, don't you want more free time with your kids? Don't you want to do, like, that's always like like their marketing ploy to get you to sign up for this program that can help you, you know, make money, right? And they do this primarily because men don't tend to have the same type of experiences when it comes to work that women do, right? Like, a lot of times at work, we have to deal with sexism. If you're Black, you got to deal with racism. You got to deal with people not really caring about childcare situations. Like, men primarily don't have to deal with that because they're not in, that's not really their realm. Usually the wife is the one who picks up and drops off the kids or secures the nanny or whatever. So a lot of times with women, their time is already split between, I gotta do this and I gotta do that, and they don't really have the ability to like, I know lots of women who have gotten fired from their jobs because of childcare situations, like, you know, and a lot of men will never ever experience that unless they are like a single parent. They, you know, usually that's something that kind of just falls back on mom, and that's just a microcosm That's just a microcosm of what I'm talking about. I really don't give a fuck about what you have to say. Matter of fact, you can get the fuck off my damn life. Again, I'm not one of them, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's another thing too. Like, you really can't speak your mind on these jobs. People nitpick with you on these jobs. People want to try to touch your hair. It's like always some crazy weird shit that primarily only Black women deal with. And this is why I'm speaking about what I'm speaking about, because our experiences are specific to us. And so it does put you in a weird little bubble, right? It puts you in a weird space where a lot of times with Black women, you don't even want to speak up at jobs. You don't even want to, like, I know for me, because of the experiences that I've had, I don't talk at work. Like, I'm very tight-lipped. In fact, I've actually had conversations with multiple managers about how I'm so quiet and I don't say anything. And I'm just like, yeah, because y'all are not going to say that I did nothing up here besides work. Like, y'all, well, she was outside. Nope. At my desk. Oh, she said nope, because I don't talk to nobody. Like, and that's how I have that's how that works for me. For some people, they like to kiki, they like to, hit the elbow and be really bubbly in order to appear as non-threatening and things like that. So again, just in general, and even just in life across the board, there is a lot of there's a lot of manipulating. There's a lot of behaviors that Black women exhibit due to manipulation, right? Due to some form of manipulation. And one of the ladies that I listened to these two women now because they had very similar points. And one of them was talking about how, there's the religious aspect of it, right? That keeps Black women in this manipulated and oppressed mindset type state. Yeah, I don't either, because I feel like they're always on some shit. Always. And one of those things is like, if I don't have a church home, right? For instance, I'm just giving an example. If I don't have a church home, then I'm out of alignment with God. Or if I haven't done these particular things, I'm out of alignment. So a lot of times, the point I'm trying to make is a lot of times with Black women, like, our mind is not even focused on economic stability. We are in a state or in a place usually, and when I say we, I just mean as a group, not you particularly, but we're in a state where we are like literally trying to shapeshift into whatever we can to try to not like step on anybody's toes or like offend anybody. So again, like I said, how I've had to adjust in corporate spaces, I just don't talk or whatever. But that's still, I'm still having to modify my behavior. That's what the word I want to use, to modify. So there's always this behavioral modification thing that has to go on, right? So for instance, I talked about on jobs, we will purposely not say things, we'll purposely not speak up. I know I have talked about this before with jobs and my personal experiences that I've had. Purposely not say things and purposely not speak up for fear of retaliation, for fear of being mistreated, for fear of losing their job. I personally think that in situations when you are underpaid or paid very low wages, people do talk to you crazy, because I feel like in their mind, they think you only here for $10 an hour anyway. Like, you obviously need this, so I can treat you however I feel it treating. Because you're desperate. Obviously, you're desperate, right? Obviously, I think that's the mindset behind some of the mistreatment on some of these jobs. And then, of course, I've heard of women that make $150,000 a year, how there will be microaggressions from other employees. Like, it'll be little things where they are like doing things to antagonize the person to get her to particularly act out of character, right? Because if she does go off, then they run to HR, or oh my gosh, she's hostile, or whatever, right? There's always like something. So a lot of times these women will be extremely bubbly. They'll do everything that they can to basically seem non-threatening in these spaces. So again, it's still a suppression of self. You're still suppressing your true personality. So you have to be somewhere or work somewhere where you spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day and you can't even be yourself. That is abnormal and unhealthy. I know we have normalized it, and it's just like you go into this place and you act professional, and it's so like, but if that is uncomfortable for you and that's not something that makes you feel empowered, and you also feel like you have to do it to eat, you are in a state of being oppressed. You are not in a happy place. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're unhappy. So there's that. This also happens in relationships. I've talked about this extensively as well. There are so many women I have literally met. So I was watching this other lady, and she was talking about the whole show Love and Marriage Huntsville. If you don't watch it, then you just have to go watch it. I'm not going to explain everything. But she was talking in particular about Melody. And Melody is, I think, one of the executive producers of the show, but she's like the it girl on the show. And I am so here for it because she's a Scorpio. I love her vibe. She's the it girl on the show, but she's also a divorcee. And some of the issues that go on with her and her ex-husband are on the show because her ex-husband is also on the show. And they've had divorce issues. They've had custody issues. There's been threats of all types of just a lot of disrespectful and demeaning things have gone on between them, right? And you have to go watch the show to get all the deets because I'm not going to talk ad nauseum about that or in depth about that. And this lady was just like, she seems to be the only person on the show that doesn't have to like rework herself and like modify herself for her husband's comfort because she ain't got one. And again, y'all know as women, as women, you are, particularly if you grew up in a religious household, you are really encouraged to obtain and maintain certain behaviors in order to get a man. Like, there's a whole thing about getting a man, okay? Y'all have seen Wife School. Yeah, there's tons of channels on here discussing that, just that one aspect of life, because for women that is supposed to be the bane of their whole existence, right? So what happens is a lot of women, they do things, they don't even behave like themselves. They behave in a way that they feel like it's going to help them obtain a man, or to behave in ways to help them obtain a particular career or get promoted at that job or whatever. Like, there are a lot of women walking around not even being themselves because they are being manipulated by society's rules. Okay, you are seeing women in droves. Like, it's like a freaking epidemic of women getting divorces, choosing to not have children, choosing to not marry, because they're like, well, yeah, everybody told me I had to do that, but I don't want to do that, and I'm not going to shift how I feel to make my mama happy, or to make this person happy, or to make society happy. Like, I'm going to do what I want to do. That is not normal. This is really like the first time in a long time that has actually happened. And so a lot of people are really mad. And I think, or I know that a lot of women are afraid of making people mad. And you have to be comfortable with that. You have to be comfortable with making people mad. I've seen people, I've been talked about for not working, like not working a day job and having an entrepreneurial venture before. I've been talked about for having a job. I've been talked about for how many kids I've had. I've been talked about my marital status. Like, people are going to find something to talk about. And I think women are finally realizing that you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And they're finally choosing themselves. And they're finally walking away from these environments that are not healthy for them. But there's also women who are frozen in the space where it's like, well, what do I do? How do I act? I don't know how to act without a husband. I don't know how to act without a job. I don't know how to, like, and so they're having all of these problems. And so that's where I come in. Like, right now, if you don't have a website where you can sell something or present a service, you need to be at glamalchemy.com and you need to get a website built. If you are on this live and you need a website this week, I can get you a website built this week. You will have it this week. I will put the link in the description. If you don't know Where to find it on my website, I'll do you one even better. You can go to my website and you can go to the bottom and you can go to contact us and you can just send me an email and say, I need a website. And we can discuss some numbers. Because the people who are waiting for, like, this is why a lot of women miss out on life, because they're being manipulated by society. And so they're waiting to have a husband. They're waiting to get the good job. They're waiting to have kids, and they're not moving. You need to get a website built. You need to, you know, hire somebody to help you with your business. You need something, because not doing it is not going to get you anywhere. And that's the thing. This whole mindset of like, be perfect, don't talk back, don't cuss this person out, stay, you know, stay prim and proper and stay within these rules, that stops you from living. This is why there's women that are 50 years old talking about they've never had an orgasm or, you know, they, you know, are being underpaid. Because there's a lot of, it's programming. Well, I gotta divine on it first. I gotta ask I gotta go talk to my pastor first. Okay. They already getting paid, you're not. And that is the only way to really not be manipulated. That's really the core. Let me get to the core of it so I can wrap this up. The core of the situation is you are going to be manipulated if you're not economically stable. Ask me how I know. So this whole notion of, you know, I'm going to be a stay-at-home wife, that's cool, but please have your money together. Or you'll end up like how I was in 2017, and it was a mess. Oh, well, you know, I'm going to wait till I finish school. Okay, that doesn't... You know, waiting until you finish school is not going to guarantee you economic stability. You have to start now. And you have to get the economic stability now. Depending on a job, depending on a career path, depending on a spouse is not going to get you anywhere. You have to start building something now. And this is something I wish somebody would have told me 10, 15 years ago. Like, you have to start now. And now it's even more of a sense of urgency because of the economic status of our country and some of the things that are going on in the world globally. You cannot sit back and be like, well, look at everybody. They all got online courses. Why don't you have an online course? Oh, they all selling, you know, doing faceless TikToks and getting paid. That's stupid. Okay, why aren't you? Like, we cannot be solely dependent on what we have normally been dependent on. I say it like that. Because it's at the core, it's really it's an emotional codependency issue, because that's what we've been told we have to do. You have to be emotionally codependent on people. So that's why a lot of women don't stand in their power, because they are emotionally they are emotionally dependent, which makes them economically dependent. So until we start to move out of those spaces, we are going to always be the maids or whatever. And I have nothing against nursing. My best friend is a nurse. I know nurses are said to make good money, but please ask yourself why a lot of the jobs that women are told to go into are labor intensive. Like, you got to bust your ass to actually do the job. And then you're burnt out. Now you can't even do the job because you don't feel good anymore. Like, you have to start factoring all of those things in. Why is everybody telling me that I have to be this type of woman? Why is everybody telling me that I have to do this particular field? You have to start thinking for yourself. That's the problem. A lot of women don't think for themselves because they're taught not to. But you really have to start asking yourself what it is that you want to do, and not doing things where you've set up a life to where you have to ask people shit. No shade. Like, for real. But if you have your whole life is, I gotta ask my boss, I gotta ask my husband, I gotta ask my mama, I gotta ask Jesus, I gotta ask, I really don't know how you're gonna get past some of the things that are happening right now and are going to happen. You cannot be mentally and economically dependent on something that is not based on your well-being. There are things that are based here on this earth that are based on your labor, such as marriages, for instance. Like, there are some women that is a whole job for them, is their marriage. on top of the job that they have at work. So now you're too burnt out to do anything. You're too burnt out to start a business. You're too burnt out to start a job. I mean, to take care of your kids. You're too burnt out to do shit. You have to ask yourself why society is placing you in that, why you're in that type of a environment, and how do you get out? And from what I've learned and from what I've observed, it's complete and total entrepreneurship. And you'll find that a lot of women who are very high up and are very successful, people call them bitches, people call them whores, people call them all types of things, particularly because that is code for she is not going to tolerate any type of mess from anybody. And those are the only people who are not being taken advantage of. Are the ones who have decided that they are going to build their own. So I said all that to say, if you want to become an herbalist, which is something that we do need more of in the community, I have a course for you. Like, you can get trained. We can have a one-on-one. We could talk. Okay, I can teach you one-on-one in addition to the course. If you need a website, I don't care if you're a plumber. Okay, I can get your website up in less than 72 hours. Sometimes I can get them up in 24 hours. But what are you going to do this year? That's my question. You have to stop being manipulated. Like, you have to stop allowing these institutions to control how you think, because you're not ever going to get, like, that is the hump. Is getting over the notion that you need things and you need particular people and you need certain type of relationships to even be considered successful in life, or to even be considered valuable. That's really a problem. Ooh, Lord, that's a whole nother life. There are so many women that aren't doing things because they don't want to be seen in a particular way, but they also are afraid of how much power they really do have to stand in, and how some of the people they're going to have to cut off in order to really do it. Or because they really feel like they don't deserve those things. They feel like, I can't do that. I can't possibly. That's bad. I have children. I can't. Or, you know, oh, I'm married, or, you know, I went to this school, or, okay. So it's like, where are we now? Are we going to keep getting on social media begging for jobs? Or are we going to do something different? Because, again, we're the most educated demographic. Why is the most educated demographic begging men for their hand in marriage? Why is the most educated demographic full of fibroids? Why is the most educated demographic begging for jobs on the internet? And because it's about not taking your power back. You have not done that part yet. It's just the energy part that nobody wants to talk about. Everyone says it's witchcraft and crazy. That's the part. I birthed my own fibroids. I did that because of my herbal knowledge and because I took control of the situation, and I didn't go up in somebody's office and let them tell me, well, we got to cut it out. Crazy as hell. Myself, I know at least, other than myself, I know at least 3 other women that help women get rid of fibroids. Like, why are you still letting people tell you that you can't give birth at home when there's me and other people telling you that you can? Okay, and then ending up in situations where you don't get to go home with your child. The most educated demographic. I'll say this, and I'm going to close. If I can't help you, I know somebody who can. My email is open. My contact us page is open on glamalchemy.com. Send me a message. You need help starting a plumbing company? If I can't help you, I know somebody who can. You want to start a dance career? If I can't help you, I know somebody who can. Like, we have to get off, like, literally, you have to get off the plantation for real. And it's at a place where you just have to understand that this entire, everything going on here is here because of your labor, and it's going to stay here because of your labor. So you need to choose where you're going to place your labor in 2024, because that's going to create a ripple effect for the future. Stop letting everybody tell you that you need things to be considered valuable and to be successful. You don't need anything but your brain and some ambition. All right, y'all. Hope y'all have a good Monday. Have a good week.